Welcome the anointed ones. The truth has a way of finding the mouth that was once sealed by fear. For years, you carried the weight of whispers, accusations, and lies that weren't yours to bear. Did you know that studies show 92% of false narratives against someone collapse when even one insider finally speaks up? That means everything they built against you, every rumor, every manipulation, every calculated misstep, was waiting for the exact moment someone could no longer hold their tongue. Now imagine the scene. The person who helped construct the very lie that suffocated you is standing at the edge of confession. You can almost hear the walls shaking as the story they thought was untouchable starts unraveling. It's like watching a magician fumble the trick everyone thought was flawless. And yes, it's as satisfying as seeing someone slip on a banana peel after years of trying to trip you. This is more than revelation. It's the seismic shift where your reality finally collides with the truth. The world that once doubted you is about to see the lie in daylight, and for the first time, you're not the one fighting to be believed. Someone else is finally telling it exactly as it happened. And the consequences? Oh, they're deliciously inevitable. Hold on tight. What comes next isn't just confession, it's the moment your vindication becomes unavoidable, undeniable, and unstoppable. Number 1. The architect of the lie is crumbling under their own guilt. The architect of the lie is crumbling under their own guilt. For years they built a story meant to control perception, twist reality, and paint you in a false light. At first it seemed like a small thing, maybe even a clever maneuver, but over time, lies grow heavier, and carrying them becomes exhausting. Every word they spoke, every half-truth they manipulated, was a brick in a structure that wasn't meant to last. Deep down, they always knew it. The human mind is wired to detect dishonesty, and even when others don't notice, the person who knows the full scope of their deception can never fully escape the internal echo of what they've done. It's like having a shadow constantly reminding them of their actions, whispering that one day the truth will come out. Now, that day has arrived. The guilt that they managed to suppress, justify, or ignore for so long has reached a tipping point. It's no longer just a quiet unease. It's a force demanding release. Their conscience, long ignored or overridden by self-interest, has grown too loud to dismiss. They begin to recognize the harm they've caused, the relationships they've poisoned, and the trust they've shattered. Every lie they helped craft against you becomes a mirror, reflecting their own moral failure. What makes this collapse so compelling is that it's unstoppable. No amount of rationalization or denial can hold it back once the weight becomes unbearable. This is the moment where they must choose between continuing the facade or confessing the truth. And in choosing to speak, they inadvertently become your ally. Their admission doesn't just clear your name. It exposes the entire lie for what it really is: fragile, hollow, and unsustainable. The irony is sharp. The person who once thought they held the power to dictate the narrative is now powerless, trapped by their own conscience. They are crumbling not because of external forces, but because the human mind cannot indefinitely ignore the truth it knows in its core. Your vindication comes not from confrontation or proof, but from their inability to carry the lie any longer. The very person who tried to manipulate reality against you is now the one delivering the ultimate evidence of your innocence, and in doing so, they reveal more about themselves than they ever intended. This is not just confession. It is the collapse of a carefully constructed illusion, and the consequences of their guilt are the spark that sets the truth free. Number 2. The lie was never solid. It was a house of smoke and mirrors. The lie was never solid. What they tried to build against you was nothing more than smoke and mirrors. From the very beginning, it depended entirely on deception, manipulation, and the hope that no one would look closely enough to see the cracks. Lies can seem convincing when carefully crafted, but they have a fragile core. They rely on fear, distraction, and the compliance of others to survive. The moment any piece of it is questioned, it begins to wobble. Because falsehoods cannot sustain themselves under scrutiny. Every statement, every whisper, every calculated misrepresentation was designed to convince people that reality was something it was not, but no matter how well it was hidden, the truth was always there, waiting. What makes lies like this dangerous is the illusion of permanence. The people who created it acted as though it would last forever, that their version of events would be etched into memory and believed without question. They assumed loyalty from others who had no real reason to trust a narrative built on manipulation. Yet underneath all the clever constructions, the story was hollow. Lies need constant attention. They demand maintenance, excuses, and reinforcement. One slip, one honest voice, one person willing to speak the truth, and the entire structure starts to unravel. The incredible part of this moment is that the unraveling is unstoppable once it begins. The lie may have fooled people for a while, but it was never equipped to endure integrity. The truth does not need defense. It does not bend or break under pressure. Once someone connected to the deception decides to speak honestly, the walls of falsehood collapse almost immediately. The mirrors shatter, the smoke dissipates, and everything that seemed convincing before is revealed for what it really was, an attempt to manipulate perception without substance. For you, the exposure of this hollow narrative is more than just vindication. It's proof that nothing built on deceit can ever be permanent. The people who tried to control your story through lies believed they were strong, but strength built on falsehood is always temporary. Your resilience wasn't about proving yourself to anyone. It was about surviving something inherently unstable. And now, as someone finally chooses truth over convenience, the lie disintegrates completely, leaving only what is real and undeniable. Your integrity, your reality, and the undeniable fact that deception can never outlast honesty. Number 3. Someone is choosing courage over comfort. Someone is choosing courage over comfort, and that choice is the turning point in the story that's been written against you. For years, the person involved in the lie had a simple path: stay silent, avoid confrontation, and protect themselves from backlash. Silence was convenient, comfortable, and safe. It allowed them to avoid the risk of alienation, criticism, or conflict. Speaking the truth, on the other hand, has never been easy. Admitting involvement in deception means standing exposed, vulnerable, and accountable. It's a step into uncertainty, and most people avoid it because comfort often feels more important than integrity. But when someone finally steps up, that's when everything changes. Choosing courage over comfort is not just about admitting a past wrong. It's about accepting the consequences of honesty. It's about risking reputation, relationships, and social standing for the sake of what is right. And the moment they do, the lie they helped sustain loses its power. No amount of arguments, manipulation, or denial can survive alongside someone's brave decision to tell the truth. Their courage becomes the catalyst that validates your experience and dismantles the false narrative. What makes this moment extraordinary is the human element of it. Most people act in their own interest first, prioritizing self-preservation over truth. That's why their admission is so powerful. It's not mandated by law, morality, or fear of exposure. It's a conscious choice to do what is right despite personal risk. That decision reflects a shift in perspective, a recognition that the lie they participated in has consequences far greater than temporary comfort. For you, the impact is immediate and profound. You no longer need to fight to prove your innocence or confront every false accusation. Their courage carries the truth forward in a way you couldn't force or manufacture yourself. It exposes the lie in full view and positions you as the one who endured, while the world begins to witness the breakdown of deception. Ultimately, someone choosing courage over comfort is a reminder that truth is strongest when it emerges from bravery. It's the moment where fear loses its grip, lies are revealed for what they are, and justice doesn't need your argument. It arrives because someone finally did what they should have done from the start. their choice changes everything. And you are the silent beneficiary of a moral victory that could not have happened without it. Number 4. Their words are more powerful than any defense you could mount. Their words are more powerful than any defense you could mount. For years, you may have prepared explanations, collected evidence, and tried to make people see the truth. But all of that, no matter how strong, could never carry the same weight as someone who was directly involved in the deception finally admitting it. When they speak, they don't just present facts, they embody the confirmation of everything you've said and endured. Their voice becomes the ultimate testimony because it comes from the source that once contributed to the falsehood. It's not opinion or speculation anymore. It's a living, undeniable account that validates your reality. This revelation doesn't just defend you, it annihilates the narrative built against you. Every lie that was carefully constructed to manipulate perception starts to crumble the moment their words are spoken. The falsehood that seemed untouchable suddenly loses all credibility. People who were skeptical, indifferent, or even hostile are forced to confront the truth, and they can't ignore it. Their admission slices through years of deception with a precision that no argument or evidence you could have produced would match. What you might have struggled to prove over time, they are confirming instantly, and the impact is absolute. The person speaking the truth doesn't just clear your name, they hand everyone watching undeniable proof that reality cannot be manufactured forever. Lies rely on repetition, consensus, and silence to survive, but one honest voice breaks the spell. The audience witnesses a moment of moral reckoning, and that moment is far more compelling than any speech or legal argument. It is raw, direct, and impossible to dismiss. People see the human element, the acknowledgement of wrongdoing, the courage to admit it, and the authenticity that can't be faked. At the same time, their words shift the balance of power completely. The person who once held influence through deceit is now powerless, and the truth they reveal elevates you automatically. You don't have to fight or persuade. The confession does the work for you. In that moment, the universe seems to realign, proving that false narratives are temporary, but honesty, once voiced, resonates indefinitely. Their admission doesn't just vindicate, it transforms the perception of everyone involved, and it changes the story forever. Number 5. Lies cannot survive in the company of conscience. Lies cannot survive in the company of conscience. Every falsehood depends on darkness, distraction, and the silence of those who know better. Lies can grow and spread when no one questions them, when people look away, or when fear keeps witnesses from speaking. They thrive in manipulation and secrecy, feeding on hesitation, doubt, and the hope that no one will dare challenge them. But the moment someone with a clear conscience chooses to act, everything changes. The lie begins to lose its cover. The shadows it relied on vanish, and the truth starts to push forward naturally, without effort. You don't have to argue, prove yourself, or chase validation. When conscience intervenes, it acts as a force of nature. The person admitting the truth does not need to perform, exaggerate, or convince anyone. Their honesty alone dismantles the falsehood. What was once carefully controlled and meticulously spread begins to unravel on its own. Lies are brittle by nature. They can only survive as long as deceit is maintained. The presence of conscience is like introducing light into a sealed room. Everything the lie was hiding becomes visible. This is why the timing of truth matters so much. It doesn't need to rush in to rescue you. It simply needs the right agent to act. That agent is often someone who was part of the deception or closely connected to it. Their willingness to acknowledge the wrong, even partially, is enough to spark a chain reaction. Suddenly, people who were misled start questioning the narrative. Inconsistencies come to light, and the lie loses credibility. What took years to construct can collapse in moments, because lies have no defense against the purity of honesty guided by conscience. The unstoppable nature of this process is profound. You don't need to force evidence, confront every skeptic, or defend your reputation constantly. Conscience does it for you. The lie, no matter how intricate, cannot endure when truth begins to act through human awareness and moral clarity. The moment someone chooses integrity over silence, the falsehood falters, showing everyone involved that dishonesty is never permanent, and that the human mind, when aligned with honesty, becomes a force that even the most carefully constructed lies cannot withstand. Number 6. The betrayer becomes the whistleblower. The betrayer becomes the whistleblower, and in that transformation lies a power few can anticipate. The person who once helped construct a narrative meant to harm you now holds the most potent weapon for your vindication, their own voice. Every detail they once twisted, every misrepresentation they once supported, now has the potential to be reversed, acknowledged, and corrected. Their change of heart turns what was once a tool of destruction into a force that restores truth and justice in a way that no outside argument or evidence could achieve. This shift is profound because it rewrites the roles in the story entirely. The betrayer, who once stood on the side of deceit, steps into a position of accountability. Their confession isn't just a simple "I was wrong." It is an active dismantling of the very lies that targeted you. With every admission, they erase the credibility of the false narrative they helped sustain. The irony is sharp. The same person who contributed to your pain becomes the one enabling your liberation, proving that human choices can pivot dramatically when conscience intervenes. The impact of this reversal extends far beyond the individual moment of confession. Others who witnessed or were affected by the lie are forced to confront the truth in a way that is undeniable. The betrayer's acknowledgement carries authenticity that no third-party testimony could match, because they were present at the creation of the falsehood. Their words act as a bridge between your lived reality and the perception of the world around you, aligning facts with honesty and collapsing doubt wherever it had taken root. For you, this transformation is not just validation, it is the ultimate shift in power. The betrayal that once weighed on you now becomes the instrument of your liberation. You no longer have to fight alone. The one who helped construct the chains is now breaking them. Their actions illuminate the fragility of lies, the strength of conscience, and the inevitability of truth. In this moment, the betrayer is no longer an enemy, nor merely a witness. They become a critical agent in the restoration of your reputation, credibility, and peace of mind, proving that even those who once caused harm can play a pivotal role in revealing justice. Number 7. The truth reveals the depth of human weakness. The truth reveals the depth of human weakness in ways that are often unsettling but undeniably illuminating. When someone finally confesses, it exposes the cracks in their character, the vulnerabilities they tried to hide, and the limitations of ego and ambition when weighed against conscience. The lies they helped spread were never a reflection of your value or abilities. They were a mirror of their own fears, insecurities, and moral compromises. Every misrepresentation, every distortion, every calculated omission was rooted in weakness, not strength. Confession strips away the pretense of control. People who orchestrate or contribute to lies often do so from a place of self-interest, aiming to protect status, reputation, or advantage. Their actions may have seemed strategic at the time, but when the truth emerges, it becomes clear that what they relied on most was not intelligence or power, but the fragility of their own character. Ego convinces them they are untouchable. Ambition convinces them the ends justify the means, and fear convinces them silence is safer than honesty. In the end, all of these are weaknesses that collapse under the pressure of conscience. For you, witnessing this confession is revelatory. It shifts perspective from anger or resentment to understanding and even a form of vindication. You see that the harm directed at you was not a reflection of your flaws, but a projection of someone else's inner struggles. Their lie was a defense mechanism, a way to cope with their inadequacy, not a judgment on your reality. This awareness transforms the narrative entirely. The person who seemed powerful enough to manipulate circumstances is revealed as someone weak enough to need deception to feel secure. The fragility exposed by confession also serves as a reminder of human imperfection. Everyone is capable of error, moral compromise, and fear-driven behavior. What differentiates the courageous from the weak is the willingness to face those failures openly. By confessing, they not only acknowledge their own shortcomings, but also allow the truth to restore balance, demonstrating that vulnerability can ultimately serve justice. In the end, the revelation doesn't just clear your name. It highlights the disparity between strength built on truth and the illusion of strength built on lies. The depth of human weakness is laid bare, and through that exposure, your integrity and resilience shine even brighter, untouched by the distortions that were once aimed at you. Number 8. Exposure forces others to confront their own complicity. Exposure forces others to confront their own complicity in ways that are often uncomfortable but profoundly revealing. When the truth finally comes to light, it doesn't just vindicate you, it shines a harsh light on everyone who stayed silent, looked the other way, or played even a minor role in allowing the lie to persist. People who thought they were observers, bystanders, or harmless participants suddenly find themselves facing the consequences of inaction. The weight of their silence becomes visible, and they are forced to examine their choices, motives, and moral compromises. The power of this confrontation lies in its inevitability. Once the truth is spoken, there is no hiding behind excuses, distractions, or partial truths. Those who contributed indirectly, through gossip, negligence, or passive endorsement, are suddenly participants in the revelation. Their discomfort is immediate and unmistakable. You can see it in the tension of their responses, the hesitation in their words, and the internal reckoning that they cannot escape. Even without a single confrontation from you, the truth alone compels them to acknowledge their role. For you, witnessing this is a subtle but undeniable form of justice. You no longer have to convince anyone, defend yourself, or expose the lie piece by piece. The exposure does the work for you. Others are confronted with their own actions, or lack thereof, and in that moment they feel the repercussions of what they allowed. It is a quiet vindication, one that doesn't rely on argument or confrontation, but on the undeniable clarity of reality. This process also serves as a reminder that truth has a ripple effect. Lies depend on the cooperation, silence, or complicity of more than one person to thrive. Once the lie is revealed, it triggers a chain reaction. People who thought they were unaffected are suddenly implicated, their inaction revealed, and their moral balance unsettled. This exposure forces accountability, not only for those directly involved in the deception, but also for those who enabled it by staying passive. In the end, justice is experienced without words, because the truth itself carries authority. The discomfort, recognition, and silent acknowledgement from others reinforce your vindication in ways that no debate or argument ever could. Exposure does more than reveal lies. It transforms observers into witnesses, turning complicity into a mirror that reflects the consequences of their choices back onto them. Number 9. Timing is divine, not coincidental. Timing is divine, not coincidental. And this moment proves it in ways that go far beyond luck or chance. The revelation you are witnessing did not appear randomly. It emerged at the precise intersection of your endurance, the readiness of those around you to see the truth, and the inevitability of consequences catching up to the deception. Lies can persist for years, hidden under layers of manipulation and fear. But there is a natural rhythm to justice that ensures falsehoods are revealed at exactly the right moment. The universe, or whatever force governs cause and effect, does not act in haste, nor does it leave crucial revelations to chance. The power of timing becomes clear when you recognize how this disclosure lands when it is most effective. You have endured, prepared, and survived the false narrative long enough to fully process the impact of the truth. At the same time, the people who were manipulated or misled are finally in a position to witness the lies collapse. The moment is orchestrated so that your vindication is not only undeniable, but also maximally transformative. It is not about luck. It is about alignment, the convergence of human experience, accountability, and moral inevitability. What makes divine timing so extraordinary is that it ensures the revelation cannot be undermined. If the truth had come too early, you might not have had the clarity or confidence to appreciate it. If it came too late, the lie might have inflicted irreparable damage before exposure. But now, the timing is perfect. The person confessing, the audience watching, and your readiness all coincide to create a moment where the lie cannot survive, where the truth is experienced in its fullest force, and where justice unfolds naturally without needing to be forced. This divine timing also reinforces the lesson that patience is part of endurance. You did not need to chase vindication or orchestrate confrontation. The truth arrived when the conditions were ideal, revealing that the universe or natural order often works behind the scenes to restore balance. Lies have a shelf life, and the dismantling of falsehoods is rarely accidental. It arrives when it matters most, delivering impact, clarity, and resolution with precision. In this way, the revelation feels inevitable and unstoppable. It is a testament to the unseen forces at work, a reminder that truth has its own schedule, and that timing can turn confession into triumph, exposure into liberation, and patience into undeniable justice. Number 10. The confession rewrites the narrative of your life. The confession rewrites the narrative of your life in ways that nothing else could. For years, the story others told about you, built from false accusations, manipulation, and betrayal, shaped perceptions, influenced opinions, and sometimes even made you question your own reality. Every lie, every distortion, every calculated rumor was designed to define you in the eyes of the world. But the moment someone who helped construct that narrative chooses to speak the truth, everything shifts. The false story loses its power, and the reality of your experience takes center stage. This is more than vindication. It is a transformation of your history. The chapters that once seemed shameful, confusing, or painful are recast as evidence of endurance, resilience, and strength. The hardships you endured are no longer marks against you. They are proof of survival in a world that tried to misrepresent you. Each manipulation that once weighed heavily now becomes context for triumph, illustrating your ability to maintain integrity and composure under pressure. The confession reframes the entire arc, turning a tale of victimhood into a story of power and authenticity. What makes this rewriting so profound is its permanence. Lies can influence opinions temporarily, but the truth, especially when delivered by someone who is complicit, cannot be ignored. The narrative shifts from what others wanted it to be to what actually is. People who doubted you, judged you, or misunderstood your situation are forced to reconcile their perceptions with undeniable facts. Your life story, once fragmented by falsehoods, gains cohesion and clarity. This elevation goes beyond external validation. Internally, it reshapes how you see yourself. The experiences that once felt isolating or unjust now have a purpose. They are proof of your endurance, proof that you survived deception, and proof that your reality was never dependent on someone else's narrative. The confession allows you to reclaim authorship of your own life story, asserting that truth, not rumor, fear, or manipulation, defines you. Ultimately, the confession does more than erase the lie. It elevates your journey. It turns years of struggle into a powerful testament of survival, turning a story once dominated by deception into a story of undeniable truth and resilience that commands recognition, respect, and lasting impact. Number 11. Their guilt amplifies your vindication. Their guilt amplifies your vindication in ways that go far beyond mere facts or arguments. Every word they speak, every hesitant admission, carries the unmistakable weight of remorse. It isn't just what they say, it's how they say it. The pause before the confession, the tension in acknowledging their role in the lie, the subtle tremor of conscience that can't be faked. That emotional intensity makes the truth hit harder than any evidence you could present or any defense you could mount. It leaves no room for doubt, because guilt is tangible. It resonates in the space between words and in the reaction of those listening. This amplification turns your vindication into something deeply visceral. People witnessing the confession don't just hear the facts, they feel the consequences of the deception and the relief of the truth. Their shame, regret, and acknowledgement act as proof that the narrative built against you was false, and that the injustice you endured is finally being rectified. It's a vindication that cannot be ignored, denied, or diminished because it is tied to human emotion, the same emotion that once fueled the lie. Your triumph becomes more than intellectual. It becomes experiential. Witnessing guilt in action confirms that you were not at fault, that the falsehoods directed at you were products of someone else's weakness and moral compromise. Their admission, colored by remorse, validates your endurance, your integrity, and your patience. The emotional honesty in their confession enhances the credibility of the truth, transforming it from a simple statement into a living acknowledgement of right and wrong. Moreover, their guilt creates a natural contrast between your resilience and their weakness. While they struggle under the weight of conscience, your steadiness and survival stand in sharp relief. The more they grapple with the consequences of their deception, the more undeniable your vindication becomes. It is as if their remorse illuminates the path you walked alone, highlighting the injustice you overcame and the truth you maintained despite the odds. In this way, guilt doesn't just confess, it elevates your victory. Every word, every hesitation, every trace of regret reinforces the reality of what you endured. Your vindication is no longer abstract. It is alive, undeniable, and intensely real, carried on the shoulders of someone finally facing the truth. Number 12. Truth carries a momentum that lies can't match. Truth carries a momentum that lies can't match, and once it is set in motion, nothing can stop it. Lies can be carefully constructed, maintained through repetition and reinforced by fear or silence, but they are inherently fragile. As soon as someone steps forward to expose a falsehood, the carefully built illusion begins to unravel. The revelation acts like a force that accelerates on its own, gathering power and influence as it spreads. Every detail confirmed, every misrepresentation corrected, strengthens the impact of honesty and weakens the foundation of deception. The remarkable thing about truth is how fast it moves once it's released. Lies rely on control. They need to be told, retold, and shielded from scrutiny to survive. Truth, however, is self-propelling. One confession, one acknowledgement, can dismantle years of falsehood almost instantly. The person speaking out does not just correct the record, they activate a chain reaction. Others who were silent, complicit, or misled begin to see the inconsistencies, question their previous assumptions, and align themselves with reality. Each step amplifies the momentum, making it impossible for the lie to recover its influence. Their admission is particularly powerful because it comes from someone who was part of the deception. It carries authority, credibility, and authenticity that cannot be replicated by outside voices. Every supporting thread of falsehood, every rumor, every twisted detail, every manipulation begins to collapse under the weight of their honesty. Lies are brittle by nature. They need compliance and repetition to survive. Truth, especially when reinforced by conscience and courage, shatters that compliance and exposes the cracks. For you, this momentum works in your favor. You don't have to force validation or fight to prove yourself, because the speed and force of truth are doing it for you. The world begins to witness the collapse of the false narrative without your intervention. What took years to fabricate can disappear in moments, leaving only reality and the undeniable evidence of your endurance and integrity. Ultimately, the unstoppable momentum of truth demonstrates a fundamental reality. No matter how elaborate or persistent a lie may seem, honesty has a power and speed that deception cannot match. Once released, it moves relentlessly, transforming perception, restoring balance, and dismantling falsehood completely. Number 13. You witness the fragility of human alliances. You witness the fragility of human alliances when the confession comes to light. Those who once appeared solid, dependable, or aligned with a cause suddenly reveal the truth about their loyalties. Alliances built on convenience, fear, or personal gain show their weakness almost immediately. The moment pressure is applied, when honesty enters the conversation, these bonds fracture, and the people who seemed closest or most committed are revealed to have been operating from self-interest rather than principle. It becomes clear that what looked like support was often conditional, temporary, and ultimately unreliable. This revelation teaches a striking lesson about human relationships. Loyalty is not guaranteed, and appearances can be deceiving. Many people align themselves with others, not out of genuine commitment, but because it serves their purpose at the time. When the lie they were complicit in starts to unravel, their true priorities emerge. Some retreat, some hesitate, and some attempt to distance themselves, proving that their allegiance was fragile from the start. You begin to see the difference between shallow loyalty and integrity. The former is fleeting, the latter unbreakable. For you, this exposure is both liberating and clarifying. The people who mattered for the wrong reasons are revealed, and you are freed from illusions about who truly stands with you. You gain insight into the real dynamics of your environment, understanding that integrity is rare, and those who possess it are far more valuable than those whose support is conditional. The confession, while humiliating for some, becomes an instrument of clarity, allowing you to discern authenticity from facade. Moreover, witnessing the collapse of these alliances reinforces the power of truth. Lies may temporarily manipulate relationships, create bonds, or foster trust, but the moment honesty enters, the artificial nature of these connections is exposed. The confession acts as a test, separating those anchored in principle from those who are merely drifting along for convenience. Ultimately, the fragility of human alliances becomes evident not through confrontation, but through revelation. You see clearly who acted from integrity and who relied on deception to maintain their position. In that clarity lies empowerment. You no longer depend on unreliable loyalties, and the truth exposes the unshakable contrast between fleeting alliances and steadfast integrity. Number 14. Liberation arrives through another's honesty. Liberation arrives through another's honesty, and its impact can be profound and transformative. For years you may have carried invisible chains, doubt about your own worth, resentment toward those who wronged you, and the lingering weight of injustice. You fought silently, endured quietly, and sought ways to prove yourself in a world that questioned your reality. Yet the moment someone who is part of the deception chooses to speak the truth, those chains begin to fall away. Their courage becomes the key that unlocks the door to freedom, and your liberation is no longer dependent solely on your own efforts or explanations. The remarkable part of this kind of freedom is that it arrives externally, but its effects are intensely internal. You are freed not just in the eyes of others, but in your own mind and spirit. Doubts that lingered, fueled by years of manipulation, begin to dissipate. Resentment that weighed heavily on your emotions starts to lose its grip, because the truth confirms what you already knew. The injustice was not your fault. In that moment, clarity replaces confusion, and the emotional burden of carrying a lie that was never yours to bear begins to lift. Sometimes liberation doesn't come through confrontation, argument, or struggle. Sometimes it comes from someone else stepping into honesty, acknowledging their role in the deception, and exposing the lie from within. That act of courage is more powerful than anything you could have done on your own, because it validates your experience in a way that cannot be ignored. It transforms the narrative completely. turning a story of victimhood into one of justice and truth. This kind of revelation also reinforces the interconnectedness of human actions. One person's decision to confront their past misdeeds can ripple outward, affecting not just their own conscience, but the lives of those who were harmed. Their honesty becomes the catalyst for your freedom, showing that accountability and courage are not just personal virtues. They are forces that can restore balance and heal the consequences of deception. In the end, liberation through another's honesty is a reminder that truth is unstoppable. Your freedom, your peace, and your vindication do not always have to be fought for alone. Sometimes they arrive in the words of someone else, whose courage clears the path and allows you to finally step into the clarity, justice, and relief that has always been your right. The unveiling of the truth is more than a moment. It is a revolution. Every confession, every act of courage, every crack in the lies built against you converges to dismantle a false reality and restore what was always yours: integrity, clarity, and freedom. The people who once sought to manipulate, deceive, or control your narrative are now powerless, their schemes collapsing under the unstoppable momentum of honesty. Their guilt, their remorse, and their courage amplify your vindication in ways no argument, proof, or confrontation ever could. This journey proves that lies can only thrive in the shadows of silence and fear, and once exposed, they crumble effortlessly. The alliances built on convenience falter. The weak-hearted are forced to confront complicity, and the very narrative of your life is rewritten, not as a story of victimhood, but as a testament to endurance, resilience, and the triumph of truth. Liberation arrives not only from your own perseverance, but often through the honesty and accountability of others, demonstrating that justice has a rhythm, a timing, and a power far beyond human orchestration. What emerges is a profound realization. The lies you survived were never a measure of your worth. They were a reflection of human weakness, fear, and moral compromise. The confession of those who once betrayed you exposes the fragility of deception and the unbreakable strength of integrity. Your vindication is not only logical, it is visceral, undeniable, and deeply satisfying. It is a reminder that truth moves faster, strikes harder, and outlasts every falsehood. Now, the story is finally aligned with reality. You are free from the chains of doubt, resentment, and injustice. You are elevated by the very confessions that once seemed impossible, and the world witnesses a vindication that is as inevitable as it is powerful. This is not just the end of a lie. It is the beginning of a new chapter where your life is defined not by what was done to you, but by the truth, resilience, and courage that you carry forward. Justice has arrived, integrity has prevailed, and the truth stands unstoppable. If this truth resonated with you and you want to witness more revelations, insights, and powerful moments of vindication, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Like this video if it opened your eyes, comment below to share your thoughts or experiences, and share it with someone who needs to see this. Your engagement helps spread the truth and ensures that more people can witness what's really happening behind the lies. Stay tuned, stay aware, and stay aligned with the power of honesty. God bless you.